Hi, everybody. Eve Harrow, Rejuvenation for the Land of Israel Network. I am sitting now with Sara Haetzni Cohen, who I have to say is one of my favorite columnists. I never go Shabbat without reading her column in Makor Rishon, which it's only printed in Hebrew. I really hope that one day they translate it. Most of you guys would absolutely love it. But she's also the head of Yisrael Sheli, which is an organization supporting online pro-Israel activism. She's also very pregnant with her fourth child. And so like most of the women that many of us know, when we're relaxing, we're multitasking. But I particularly asked her to take a few precious moments and sit down with me because she is also organizing on November 29th, 2018 at the Begin Center, Jerusalem, a major conference with about the alternatives to two-state solutions. So you as my listeners know that I've interviewed other people on this, Dr. Mordechai Kedar and others, that we can get out of this one-way train that's heading off a cliff of a two-state solution and start exploring other ideas. And she has decided to really take this upon herself and get it out there. So Sara, first of all, thank you so much for, I'm laughing because the two of us were just talking about how it's ridiculous how busy we are. But thank you so much for taking some time today to talk to my listeners and also to get out the idea of the conference that'll be in just a few days.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy that you called me to be with you. And I think we're doing a very important project these days. A few months ago, I'm dealing with the whole issue of alternatives to the two-state solution for over like 2 years. I remember it by my pregnancies. So,
wow. Yeah. By your last pregnancies, yes, yeah. When you were doing it.
This is how I remember things. But I'm dealing with it for my whole life, but specifically with this, I'm dealing for a few years already, 2.5 years. I started in Makor Rishon newspaper with a series of interviews with different people like Caroline Glick and Dr. Mordechai Kedar and different people, including my own grandfather, Elyakim Haetzni. And
former member of Knesset and very, very active for many, many years, especially in the issues of Yehuda v'Shomron. I learned a lot from him when I was first starting out. A terrific man. And your dad's not bad either.
My dad is terrific. So we decided to take it one step forward, the whole discussion about the alternatives to the two-state solution, because for over 40 years, the only solution that was on the table is the two-state solution. People don't think on other solutions. People don't think of different ways to deal with this very complicated situation, complicated conflict. And we think that reality is so complex and so dynamic, and we need to deal with it from a different direction. We need to take a different direction to deal with the whole, big thing that's called the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. So a few months ago, we decided we're going to take it to the next level in the Israeli level, in the Israeli discourse, mainly in the Israeli discourse, because we believe that America is great and Europe, they have their own spot, and the international globalism it has its influence, but eventually we need to take responsibility upon our life, and we need to take this conflict one step forward somewhere. So everything starts here in Israel, and this is why we decided we're going to make a big conference in Kaftet November, the 29th of November, symbolic date of, international recognition of separation, but we're going to take it one step forward.
November 29th, 1947 is the partition plan. It's the famous vote in the UN to partition Palestine. And I just have to say, I find it interesting that it's called Kaftet B'November, meaning it's not called 29th B'November. It's called by the Hebrew, the Kaftet. So there is, I feel like, even some kind of religious or Jewish thing in here. It's not just a date, but that's a very symbolic date, as you said, in order to have this conference.
Yes, it's very symbolic, and it's very symbolic in the Israeli atmosphere. Mm-hmm. And we decided to take this date and to put the whole discussion of alternatives to the two-state solution on the table. So we created this conference. It's going to be in the afternoon, so many young people are going to come, students, like even under 18 young adults. And we brought, our goal was to bring people that understand what it means, the conflict, that have done something about it. We have ministers and parliament members, Knesset members, and researchers and people that just, created plans and taking it one step forward. They don't just, writing it in the newspaper, but actually going to the states and going to different people to promote their own program that they believe it's good.
Based on realism also, not based on some kind of portraying whatever the Western values are onto a Middle East that has a very different culture and very different, moves by very different things than the West, shame and honor, etc. And a lot of the people, let's say Mordechai Kedar, who speaks Arabic fluently and knows what they're thinking and what they're saying and how we can approach the other side as well without just putting our own ideas, Western maybe ideas, on a place where they don't really belong.
People think that that reality is black and white. Mm-hmm. They think that it's either you're gonna take, the pattern, the exact pattern of liberal democracy, Western democracy, and make a copy-paste to the jungle of the Middle East, or you have nothing. And we believe that you have to compromise, and you have to open your mind for new solutions, for new plans, for new thinking. Who said that the Sykes-Picot borders are like the Bible? No. And the Middle East is in a storm for years. And the only thing that was stable is, I don't know if stable is the word for it, but the only thing that was stuck is the two-state solution. They keep on saying it. They keep on, bumping their head in the wall, instead of thinking out of the box. Now, we already tried. I was not a supporter of Oslo and the disengagement and everything, but this is how it goes in democracy. Once you're down and once you're up, and I can't say that Israel didn't try. Israel tried, and it cost with blood the whole, experiments. Right. And we need to take a new direction. We need to sign a different goal. Now, the goal is not separation and two-state solution and just, the way is not good. This is what they believe in the other political spectrum. The goal and you said realism, but it's not only realism. It's about ideology. It's about belief. It's about believing that this land is our land, and there's a reason why not Uganda, and there's a reason why we chose to come here. My, grandfather came here to this, jungle of the Middle East, and not somewhere else. There's a reason for being here, and this is the base. Now, once you have the base, you can go a few steps forward to understand that reality is very complex, that there are more people on this land, and you're not alone. As Jabotinsky said, what do you think, that the native population will hug you when you'll come? No, they will fight you, and you need to have an iron wall. So this is the base. But from this very strong base and very strong ideology, we want to open people's mind and to our mind as well, and to demand our leaders, our political leaders, our security leaders, to take responsibility and not only talk, but actually do.
Do you have politicians coming to the conference?
Of course. We aimed We wanted to have politicians. We had this dilemma. We said, I had this dilemma also 2 years ago. I said, well, politicians do not talk, just do. At the end of the day, I said, but why? They're not politicians, they're leaders. We voted for them. We are taking the reality as, very sarcastic, very, very cynical. But at the end of the day, you get what you vote for. Mm-hmm. And if you'll demand from your representatives, from your leaders, you will demand a vision, a way, something that is to get their head out of, the daily politics, house of cards. Mm-hmm. So if you'll demand, this is what you'll get. If not, if you'll deal with who took what and what job and whatever, so this is what you get. And this is why we wanted to have politicians. We have Naftali Bennett, the Minister of Education. We have Gilad Erdan, who's also the Minister of Strategic Affairs and Internal...
the police.
Yeah.
Internal security.
But he's also a very dominant politician in the Likud. And we have Gideon Sa'ar, who is a former and hopefully in the future as well, very dominant politician, leader that can promote things. We also have from the other side of the political map, we have Eitan Kabel, who's a parliament member, who also dared to think out of the box. I do not agree with his way. I do not agree with his program, but he published an op-ed in Haaretz, and he said to his political camp, guys, we need to wake up and we need to rethink about our way.
You're inspiring them to become the leaders that we need and inspire us. So sometimes that's what has to happen. You got to build the fire somewhere.
Yes, and I believe that the public wants it. We're very thirsty for these things. We don't, like the last week or the last couple of weeks were crazy in terms of, small politics.
And also rockets on the south and the possibility of the government falling with Lieberman resigning. And it's never boring here, is it?
It's never boring, but I do want to take our heads up and deal with the big things. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you can say about Lieberman that he quitted because of politics and the whole mess that we had the last couple of weeks. But I do want, my goal is to take the ideological, to take the discussion to the ideological level, but also to the practical level. Mm-hmm.
So who's coming to speak with their different plans? Well, you mentioned Dr. Mordechai Kedar, whose plan is kind of like the United Arab Emirates. I mean, different areas based on economy that will run their own areas, Greater Nablus and Greater Bethlehem. And who else is coming? So
Mordechai Kedar will not speak on a panel, but we are also having, we have like this posters outside the conference with all the programs, including Mordechai Kedar's. All the programs will be presented on a big poster outside the conference room. And there will also be a booklet that includes all the programs and will give a lot of credit to the people who created and thought and promote these programs. At the end of the day, we'll have a panel of thinking out of the box. We'll have Chaver Knesset Parliament member Bezalel Smotrich that has a plan. He has a plan that, it's not partial annexation or, something in the middle. He's saying we need to win and this is how we win. You can agree, you cannot agree. I don't mind. I want to put it on the table. I want to dream. So we have him. We have Tzvika Hauser, who's also a very, very big intellectual guy, He dares to dream. He dares to think 10 years in advance, not only what's going to happen next year or tomorrow. And he's going to talk about regional agreement. And we have another guy called Amir Avivi, who also talks about a regional agreement, but with Egypt, about Sinai. He calls it the two-state solution. The new state solution. And he's bringing another guy, his partner from the States. His name is Benjamin Anthony from Our Soldiers Speak, and two very, very serious guys. They promote their program. I mean, it sounds like science fiction, but they actually believe in it. It makes sense when you dare to dream, when you dare to think out of, the concept out of the box, and they promote it. They promote it within people in the States, in campuses, in, different politicians. And I give them the credit. Kol hakavod. I mean, it's amazing.
So you ran a series of articles over the last year, different interviews that you had with people who were promoting their ideas, Moshe Feiglin, for example, and you had a lot of these articles on that. Is that collected anywhere and that translated into English? Because this is an English-speaking program, and some of my listeners do speak Hebrew, nice, but a lot don't. And I'm sure that is there a website that all that is out there that they can go and see for themselves?
So one of the things we're doing is collecting knowledge. We don't want to lose these ideas, and we want to make it as much as available to different audiences. We made a special website. It's in Hebrew now. We're going to translate it once we pass the conference because we're very busy with it. We're going to translate it into English, all the programs, and we're going to have like a hard copy booklet where people that come to the Knesset, to come to the conference, will get it for free. And hopefully we'll get to the point of translating this into English as well.
Look, Hebrew is obviously the most important because, as you said, this is an Israeli issue, and every single person in Israel wants there to be peace. The differences among us is how we get there. And so there have to be these solutions out there. But at the end of the day, we're the ones who are going to go into the voting booth. We're the ones who are going to vote for our leaders to represent different ideas or different plans. And so Hebrew obviously has to be the main language. But yes, I'm sure that there's other people out there who would also like to see what is happening here in Israel, because what happens here in Israel affects everybody as well. We are, I don't know why, but in the headlines all the time. But the president of America, President Trump, and his staff keep talking about a plan that they're putting out. Is that do you have knowledge of that? Is that something that's going to be presented, or that's an American plan and you're just presenting Israeli ideas at the conference?
We thought about this conference without any connection to what happens in America. We're very big friends of America, and I know that there are, things that above my head, and okay, but we believe we need to stick with our way and our ideology and our life and our children's life, future, whatever. And I am aware of the how do you call it?
Broad outlines of the plan? No, you have no idea.
Idea.
Yeah, it's been kept quite under wraps.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't even know people who has any clue. But okay, I believe that at the end of the day, we need to take responsibility upon our life and to create people say, okay, we're with you, but what do you want? I mean, I talk with people from the States or from Europe and say, okay, we understand that the two-state solution is not a good solution. It costs with blood, and it's not going to happen. You have no partner. You tried to do it unilateral, but what do you want?
Right. What are the alternatives? Which is what you're presenting now. The alternatives.
People don't know what to say, and it's very frustrating. So this is what we're trying to create here. It's a long run. I mean, it's not going to happen one day. And I want to tell you a story where I met a European representative that in charge of whatever. He has an official job in the European Union or something like this. And he wanted to meet me here in Israel. He came for a visit and to see what are the alternatives. And I spoke with him for an hour. We had great coffee. And at the end of the day, he said, okay, but we still believe in the two-state solution because A, it's the European interest. Fair enough. I mean, every country has its own interests. This is how it works in, international relations. Okay, but the next sentence that he told me was amazing. He said, and we also think that the second reason that we believe in the two-state solution, that it's the best solution for you. I mean, and I said, what? Yes, we believe that your politicians, that everything is very stuck now and everything is on, it's freeze. So, and your politicians are taking you down in the slippery slope. Wow. And I said, listen, guy, I mean, what do you think? First of all, do not patronize us. Mm-hmm. We're very smart. We have a lot of experience. We have more experience in fighting terror than any, a regular European guy. And we know what's good for us. We are a flourishing democracy, not perfect. We have a lot of things to improve, as you has a lot of things to improve. But we know what we're doing. When we vote for Likud or Beit Yehudi or whatever, when we vote for one ideological way, we do it because we think this is the best thing for us, for our life, and for our future. Wow. So do not tell me what's good for my children's future. Mm-hmm. I won't tell you what's good for your children's future, and you won't tell me. I respect you. We're allies, but.
What a colonialistic kind of patron, like the natives don't really know what to do. We need to come in there and tell you what's good for you.
Precisely. Wow. Precisely. And I was very polite, but very assertive. It shows what the attitude. Yeah. And it shows the European, I don't know if all European, but it shows a very big thinking or attitude in the European politics, whatever relates Israel. And we need to fight. And we need to say, and we need to stand for our interests. And this is what we're doing in this conference. We call it the Hainteres Halaumi. How do you translate?
The national interest.
Because we believe that this is the national interest for Israel. This is what's good for the future of Israel. Right. To rethink and to create new paradigms on, a very old conflict. We're not gonna make, even if we're not having like the ultimate solution, our interest is to have a progress. Our interest is to create, to initiate. Mm-hmm.
And then we'll find countries perhaps with mutual interests, which, as we know, it's not about loving each other. It's about having mutual interests. That's how countries get along, whatever it takes to solve what, as you said, is really a regional conflict. And we have to do our piece of it as well. So if people want to find out about this, if they're going to be in Israel, is there a website? How would they register? Is there still time to register?
Yes, there's time to register. It cost, a ticket cost kaftet shkalim, it's 29. It's in 29th of November, and it's 29 shekels to get in. And I invite you to come. It's going to be in the Begin Center. We're going to
in Jerusalem.
In Jerusalem, yeah. We're going to open the gates at 3 p.m. It's going to last until 9 p.m. plus minus. And I encourage you to click, just Google Veidat Hainteres Halaumi, or go on our website, My Israel website, or Facebook page, or Twitter account.
myisrael.com. .org.il, myisrael.org.il. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Just register. We're there.
So My Israel is not connected with the government. It's a nonprofit, the organization. So if people are listening to this and saying, wow, I would really love if this was in English. Do you need people to help and to get it translated into English, or that's taken care of?
We always need people because we're built on volunteers. for example, last night with the Airbnb boycott on Judea and Samaria, we had to create this activism from now to now, and we had the graphic designer who's a volunteer and someone who translated the text, and we had to make this operation in like half an hour, and we're built on volunteers. So if you want to be a part of My Israel, please call us or email us or tweet us, whatever. If you want, we have no support from the government, no funding support from the government, and we will be very thankful for public support.
So that you can also hear the alternatives that are going on and that are going to be presented. So I don't know if this is a fair question, but of all the different ideas that you've heard over the years, and you probably, maybe more than anybody in Israel, because you've sat and interviewed people with a wide range of ideas and then presented it to the Israeli public, is there one particular that grabs you, or a combination of a few? What are your own thoughts on this?
I think that to put a holistic program on the table is not a very clever thing to do, because we're living in a very dynamic reality. I think that if you'll put principles on the table that can go separately and parallelly, it will be, and you'll have the flexibility to stop or promote one principle more. This will be more, it will fit more to our reality. And this is my interest. I'm not looking for Hollywood. Yeah. So I think that one principle is to annex or to have sovereignty.
Apply Israeli law on, right?
Apply Israeli law on especially the sea areas, to give vast autonomy or more freedom of movement for the Palestinians. It's up to the security situation, and to promote, I don't want to call it economic peace, because I don't think that, I think it's selling lies. But I think we can promote economy as a win-win situation, both to the Palestinians and the Israelis, and we can do it without any connection to any other principle that we're doing.
Well, then we have the interference, let's say, of the BDS movement, which actually, by forcing SodaStream to move out of Mishra Adumim near Malay Adumim in the Samaria area and move into the Negev, so a lot of Palestinian Arabs working there lost their jobs. And so actually some of these movements from the outside that say they want to help are actually hurting exactly what you're saying here, which is the coexistence on a day-to-day level between the people that are living here. And that's one of, I think, the big irritants, and just like we're seeing, because this is being taped during the week where we're dealing with a lot of the Airbnb issues, because I'm going to be guiding on Sunday, so I pre-tape this. We're seeing a lot of this, which is not helping. And you have to wonder if people really, from the outside, want to solve this or want to foment dissension between us. If peace is really their goal, those coming from the outside, as it is ours, because you and I have all our skin in this game, our children, and when it comes to me, my grandchildren, we want this to be peaceful. We want this to be good for everybody. Neither of us wants to see an Arab mother crying over her child either. But a lot of the interference that we have from the outside world makes things worse, not better.
Correct. But you know what? The BDS won't disappear. And the BDS is not an anti-Israel movement, is an anti-Semitic movement. And it's not going to disappear even if SodaStream would move to the moon. They started irritating them about the Bedouins after they moved to the Negev. It's not going to end. Yeah. And we need to do as much as we can in our forces, in our, strength to promote a win-win situation for us and for the Arabs in Judea and Samaria. I don't want to see them suffering. I don't want to see anyone suffering. I believe that without the terror, we can connect normally as human beings and work together and benefit together. And I think that the common people, the simple people that just want to live their life, they're there. Now, I'm not talking about Omar Barghouti from the BDS movement or whatever. They keep on hating, they keep on doing whatever they do, and we'll keep on fighting. But in our second hand, we do need to promote daily life and daily economy and daily
just normalcy, normalcy, which is happening already. Just most people don't realize it. I like what you said, though, about the parallel lines, because since we're living in a very chaotic Middle East where nobody's democracy aside from Israel, we can put all our eggs in, let's say, the Jordanian option. And then what if tomorrow King Abdullah gets deposed or assassinated or who knows what? And then all of a sudden the Jordanian regime is not stable. Or the same thing in Egypt. Right now, al-Sisi is with Israel, and we're trying to fight Hamas along with us and what's happening. But who knows what'll be tomorrow? And you have a very, very, very flexible situation, can we say, in our neighborhood here. And we have to have a lot of different options out there because we don't know. We need a regional solution, but the leaders of other countries in the regions can change at any moment. And we have to be aware of that as well.
Just think what would happen if we signed a peace agreement with
quote unquote,
with Syria, with Assad. I mean, well, we would have great, photos, great Nobel Prizes, great piece of paper, and that's it. That's right. We can count only upon ourselves, and we need to do what's good for Israel. And we need to be strong because this is this is how it goes in this neighborhood. I'm a mother. There is I don't know any other creature in the world that wants peace more than a mother. But I do aware that we live in a very tough neighborhood, and this neighborhood is not only in the Middle East. I mean, it's going worldwide. Mm-hmm. And we need to be strong, and we need to do what's good for Israel. And we don't need to think that there was a myth that there is no importance for land and to strategic depth. And it's every day they prove us they're wrong. Every day in Gaza Strip with the missiles that goes to Tel Aviv, to the Ben Gurion airport, to Haifa. Right. Every day they prove us a different thing. The Iron Dome is amazing, great technology. It cannot stand by itself. It cannot stand without the strategic depth. It cannot stand without the spirit. And you don't give up. You just don't, because you will drink the sea of the Mediterranean Sea. How Yasser Arafat said. So we do need to be flexible. At the end of the day, we do need to do what's good for Israel.
And I think the message to the rest of the world is that you guys need to do what's good for whatever country you're sitting in, for what's good for your country as well. You shouldn't be ashamed to be able to say that political correctness might not be, or whatever the political correctness is, might not be the best thing for you if you're sitting in Sweden or in England or in Australia. And maybe learn a little bit from what we're doing here and not let it go too far. So Sara Haetzni Cohen, thank you so much for sitting with me from Yisrael Shali, from My Israel, the conference at the Begin Center in Jerusalem on November 29th, 2018, Alternatives to a Two-State Solution. Let's start thinking out of the box. Thank you so much for sitting with me today.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you, everyone.
All right, everybody, take care. You can always write to me, eve@thelandofisrael.com. Great to hear from you, and you'll keep hearing from me. Take care, everybody. Thanks to Ben and to Tabitha for all that they do. All right, everybody, goodbye for now.
Extinction, says Carl Sagan, is the rule. Survival is the exception. And I can tell you as a graduate of a geology department and a teller of the Jewish story that this is not a small fact. I'm Rav Mike Foyer, and this is The Jewish Story.
Join Rav Mike Foyer for the best Jewish history podcast, The Jewish Story, on the Land of Israel Network